The Winter Park Bach Festival began in 1935 at Rollins College to commemorate the 250th birth year anniversary of Johann Sebastian Bach. The Bach Festival Society is known internationally and has enjoyed a long tradition of bringing world-class talent to Central Florida. Come with us for an inside look into the work and dedication that goes into the preparation for these inspiring performances. Dr. John V. Sinclair is the Director of Music for Rollins College and holds the John M. Tiedtke Chair of Music. He is currently the 6th successive conductor of the Winter Park Bach Festival Society.
Well, the Bach Festival was here long before me. I'm its 6th conductor, the longest running conductor. This is my 27th season. And I came here to Rollins because of the Bach Festival. I wanted to be associated with that, and I was told that I would be the next conductor, and so I came here and taught a few years waiting for that position to open up. But the organization has been a vital organization since 1935, and I joined as its conductor in 1990. I'm always trying to find a unique program. I'm also aware that our audience is not an audience that likes to experiment with new works. So if I'm doing a work by a living or a new piece of music, I'd better combine it with something that's familiar. There's very few pieces in classical music as familiar as the organ symphony of Saint-Saens. And there's very few composers as well known and as loved as Puccini. And so I was trying to find a reason to do the Puccini Messa di Gloria, because it had been over 20, almost 25 years since we did it last. And I thought it was a great piece and we deserved to do it again.
Giacomo Puccini was born in 1858, the 5th of 9 children born to Michela and Albina Puccini. By tradition, the family was active in the local musical community, and it had been so for 5 generations. Inspired in his youth by seeing a production of Verdi's Aida, Puccini became a composer, and he is known to be one of the greatest exponents of operatic realism. His most famous works are the operas La Bohème, Tosca, and Madame Butterfly, and he has been called the greatest composer of Italian opera after Giuseppe Verdi.
Taking a piece of music from the very beginning of the rehearsals. Of course, the choir had worked on it before the orchestra was brought in. But I always feel a little bit like a potter must feel when they put a clump of clay on the wheel. They say, make a piece of art. I knew the choir knew the piece. I knew they would sing it beautifully. And I knew the orchestra would play it beautifully. That very first rehearsal, it was a clump of clay that had to be shaped. Because the challenge in doing a major choral work is that you get the balance and the blend right, that the choir can hear the orchestra, that the orchestra gets used to the choir, that they start working. 2 very different organizations who approach their art from different perspectives have to become one. That's always your challenge. And so that's where the wheel spins and you shape it and you mold it and you say, I need a little more violin here. Choir, can you articulate here to cut through more? So the very first rehearsal always feels rough. And then every one, you start to see the pottery take place. And by the end, you hope that it looks like a piece of art. And I have great faith in this choir and I have great faith in this orchestra. They're just fabulous people and they're fabulous musicians. And so I knew it would take place. The other thing as a conductor, one of the most important things is to trust in the composer. My job is not to create the art. My job is to facilitate the art. The artistry is already there. All I have to do is try to bring it out.
Camille Saint-Saens was born on October 9th, 1835. He was a child prodigy on the piano, but as a composer he is chiefly remembered for his symphonic poems. Franz Liszt described Saint-Saens as the finest organist in the world, and it is therefore highly appropriate that his ever-popular organ symphony is so often performed.
I really enjoyed this performance. It had the great piece of Saint-Saens, the organ symphony, or the symphony number 3 with organ, and that's a very famous, iconic piece. Ken Cowan is truly one of the best artists in the world. If you were list the top 5 organists in the world, his name would be on your list, without question. He is the consummate artist. He's kind, he's soft-spoken, he lets his playing talk for him. He knows how to register the registrations on that organ. He knows how to facilitate that as well as anyone ever has on that instrument.
I'm Ken Cowan. I'm an organ recitalist and teacher. I teach at Rice University and have had the good fortune to play in various places across the country. I'm here this week to play for the Bach Festival. This is my 3rd time here, so here we are in October 2016 for the Saint-Saens Organ Symphony.
Each year, Bach Festival brings in world-renowned guest artists. The featured artists for this portion of the season are Robert Broll, tenor vocalist, and Kevin Dees, bass baritone vocalist.
I'm singing the bass solos in Puccini's Messa di Gloria. It's my 2nd time singing this piece, and both times have been here in Winter Park at Rollins. It's actually a lot of fun to sing. It's music that was written by the baby Puccini, a very young Giacomo Puccini, but you can hear in it the essence of the music that he's to write later in his life, and it's a joyful and rich piece.
Being with this Bach Festival, which is one of the best-known Bach festivals in the world, is a wonderful honor for me. This is probably my 12th time coming. The challenge for this is to realize that this is the work of a very young composer. You have to sing like an opera singer.
Kevin and Bob are 2 of my absolute favorite soloists that Dr. Sinclair brings in on a regular basis, which is great. Actually, the very first time I heard them was in one of my first performances as a student in Bach Festival. The 2 of them both came for the Creation, and I remember falling in love with their voices then. So every time I see their name on the program, on the schedule to come, it's always exciting.
Paul Moravec was born in 1957 in Buffalo, New York. He's an American composer and the music department chair at Adelphi University on Long Island. A prolific composer, he has been described as a new tonalist, and his style is primarily tonal and neoclassical. His best-known pieces include the Pulitzer Prize-winning, Shakespeare-inspired Tempest Fantasy, a 30-minute chamber work scored for clarinet, violin, cello, and piano.
Hi, I'm Paul Moravec. I'm a composer, and I'm also a university professor at Adelphi University. That's in Garden City, Long Island, and I'm thrilled to be here in this wonderful town, this great college. The 3 pieces that Bach Festival Society did today span 20 years in my career. The oldest is from 1996, and that is a piece called The Spirit of Power that I wrote for the Moravian Music Festival. Somewhat more recently, a piece called I Will Fear No Evil. The 3rd piece I wrote just in August, and I wrote it specifically for Orlando. It's called Light Shall Lift Us, to a text by Mark Campbell. And we wrote this piece for One Voice Orlando, which was a benefit for the city of Orlando and its support agencies in the aftermath of the Pulse nightclub shooting.
And we decided to do a piece for my 25th anniversary, and so we asked Paul and Terry to combine to do that piece. So that was last year. As part of the deal, Paul said, I'd love to do this piece, but I'd really love to get a recording of it. So this was just part of that continuation. I think the future of the Bach Festival is bright. In many ways, organizations like the Bach Festival are kind of dinosaurs, to be quite honest. But the Bach Festival is strong. We're strong with wonderful patrons. We're strong with being affiliated with this great college. We have a wonderful board of directors, and we have the love and support of this great choir and wonderful orchestra.
The Bach Festival has always been a wonderful opportunity, to me as a kid to be able to come and see concerts and then to finally participate in them. I think they'll be around for a really long time.
And I'm immensely proud to be a part of something that is a long-standing tradition that is bigger than all the sum of its parts. I recognize my part as a small little part, and I'm happy to be the contributor of that part for this time in its history. And I hope to be for a number of years.
It has been another successful musical adventure. Thank you for taking this journey, and congratulations to the students, professionals, and dedicated volunteers that took part. The Winter Park Bach Festival will continue.